Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. MMU Postgraduate Virtual Open Day is here for 2021. Learn more about your postgraduate programs at MMU and discuss your education options in person with our academics virtually. For today's topic, we will have two speakers. Number one, we're going to be talking about debunking myths about postgraduate studies and postgraduate studies opportunities in MMU. Don't miss a chance and opportunity with us. Register at our website. Start your next education chapter with us. So Postgraduate Open Day will be hosted by me, yes, Mustafa Muzair, a lecturer, academic counselor, happening live now. Save your date and time with us to get into the conversation today. Let me start by inviting our first speaker, Prof. Wong Yong, who is the professor at the Center for Graduate Studies, and with his title, Debunking Myths About Postgraduate Studies. Prof. Wong Yong, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa, for the quick introduction. And thank you to all who are tuning in today. My name is Wong Yong. Let me just put up my slides. Can everyone see my slides?
Yeah, it is good.
All right, good. As you can see from the screen, the topic of this short talk I'm going to share with you today is debunking the myths of postgraduate study. To make sure we are being put on the right footing, I will kickstart by giving you some brief information as well as some of the key features of a postgraduate study. In fact, graduate study, the term used is always confused by many students. In fact, graduate study is used interchangeably with the term postgraduate study. Graduate study is a term that are widely used in countries such as the United States and Canada. In fact, graduate studies or the so-called postgraduate study basically refers to a range of higher degree program that a student would pursue right after they complete their undergraduate program. So these programs include master program or any PhD program. As far as the postgraduate program structures are concerned, they can be simply grouped into three categories. The first one will be the taught program, followed by the mixed mode program, and finally the research program. So going back to the taught program, the program structure of the taught program is rather similar to our undergraduate program, where student is expected to undergo a series of taught module and followed by a short research project. For mixed mode program, is again a combination of these two components. You have the research component as well as the taught component. However, the so-called emphasis or the ratio of this research component to this taught component is about the same. Finally, we have this pure research program where student is expected to make significant contribution to research attested by a dissertation before a research degree can be awarded to the student. Then next we have the mode of studies. So basically there are two modes of study, full-time and part-time. So part-time basically involve the spreading of a full-time postgraduate program just over a longer period of time. Okay. So again, typically, a postgraduate study would involve smaller class size, where students and professors will have more opportunity to interact with each other. And postgraduate students generally will do a lot of self-learning, a lot of independent learning, in fact, a great deal of it. Again, a postgraduate program will require deeper analysis. You dive deep into the field of your studies, and that also include detailed studies of subject rather than covering a broader theme that undergraduate program would cover. So finally, postgraduate program is there. Is aimed to train students to become an expert in their own field one day. But of course, at least if it's not an expert, but at least someone with a deep knowledge of the subjects. Okay, a bit intro about the origin of a postgraduate study. So the hierarchy of these academic degrees dates back to the so-called University of Medieval Europe in the Middle Age. Okay, so during that time, university basically made up of these four basic faculty. You have the Faculty of Art and the three higher faculty of theology, medicines, as well as law. So upon completion of their study, student will be awarded the degree accordingly from the basic degree all the way to the final degree, according to the name of the faculty. Interestingly, for the final degree that will be awarded by the Faculty of Art at that time, a master title will be bestowed. However, for the remaining three faculty, namely the Faculty of Medicine, Theology, and Law, a doctorate title will be bestowed upon completion of their final degree. So in fact, the so-called the master title and doctorate titles are conferred, or basically is a certification that allow a license, or we call it a license, to allow the member of the faculty to teach in the university. If you would like to relate the title that have been conferred, Master of Art is basically derived from the Latin word magistra atrium. So it basically means teacher of the art. On the other hand, the doctorate title is derived from this Latin verb docere. It also means to teach. So in fact, during that time, the title of the master as well as doctor were used interchangeably for the final degree awarded to the student. So in fact, there is no distinction at all whatsoever in terms of the qualification level of these master and doctor. It merely differentiated by the so-called awarding faculty, where the lower faculty, where we have the Faculty of Art, where a master title will be awarded, and for the rest of the higher faculty, a doctor title will be awarded instead. So the doctorate in those higher faculty in the past, they were obtained merely through advanced scholarship. There is no requirement of original research. So it is very different, in fact, from the current PhD degree that we see today. To obtain those doctorate degree during that time, a student would probably need to just fulfill some of the requirement, like lengthy residential requirement and some form of examination. And the first doctoral degree of that kind was actually awarded way back in 1150 by the University of Paris. So it was not until the education reform that took place in Germany sometime in the 19th century, where the reform actually demanded or started demanding more research contribution attested by a dissertation before a final degree is awarded. So Wilhelm University in Berlin, Germany, in fact, was the first university that awarded that kind of degree, where a PhD in the form of dissertation as the highest academic qualification or the terminal academic qualification. So since then, such PhD model spread very quickly, and it was expanded to cover all other subjects, including science and humanity. Obviously, not only in Germany, the model that they used in Germany was again quickly adopted throughout the world. This is the PhD that we see today. All right, let's start our real topic that I'm going to discuss with you today, the myth of postgraduate study. All right, the first, I've gathered around 10 myths to discuss with you today. The first myth would be, do I have to study the same subject I did in my undergraduate degree, or I didn't even have the right paper qualification? How would that impact my postgraduate study? So again, you are not required to study exactly the same subject that you did in your undergraduate, to continue your postgraduate study. Of course, if you had done undergraduate program with the field related to your postgraduate study, which you're going to pursue later on, that will definitely help, and you will definitely complement your effort in your postgraduate journey. But of course, undergraduate program is a broad-based study where a postgraduate study like master or PhD will allow you to go into your so-called specialization. Just to give you an example, if you are a Bachelor of Engineering student in the electrical and electronics domain, so eventually you might continue or further your study in the specialized areas such as telecommunication. If you were a business student, you might later on specialize, your area of interest in the field of perhaps like international business and fintech and so on and so forth. So what if you had a undergraduate degree program that where the field of study is different from your postgraduate study that you wish to pursue later on? In fact, this is not the end to it. This can be supported by some of the rigorous assessment organized by the institution of higher learning, substantiated with some of the working or relevant research experience would really help. And there's something called accreditation or prior experiential learning, APEL. This is a system that rolled out by our very own MQA, Malaysia Qualification Agency, where APEL is basically cater for any individual who have the working experience, but a lack of some formal academic qualification to allow them to be considered to further the study in any university. Okay, under the condition where you might not have the relevant experience and the degree, the undergraduate degree that you obtain has a different field of study uh, when compared to the postgraduate study where you wish to pursue. And under that kind of condition, there will be something called the bridging program. Okay, this is something that have been rolled out by MQA, where upon completing the bridging program, students will have that opportunity to be admitted into the postgraduate study of their choice, or should I say, in the field of their interest, despite the fact that they might not have the prior learning experience related to their study, as well as having an undergraduate degree program that are not related with their postgraduate study. It is possible. And this is actually a good opportunity for those who like to change their career path. Okay, the second myth will be on the need to be a straight A student to get into a university, to get into a postgraduate program, or to be successful in it. No doubt, grade CGPA are important, but However, they are only just one of the indicator of intellectual ability. As far as a postgraduate application is concerned, some other useful supporting evidences such as recommendation letter, a strong recommendation letter from your referee, a good and convincing research statement, and if you can support with some of the experience or relevant research experience that you acquired before you enroll into the program, that would really help. Of course, to be successful in your postgraduate study, you will require other important attributes, such as you have to be passionate about the program or the field of study that you have signed up. You have to have, you have to be really determined and be innovative, a good problem solver, and of course, patience is required. You have to be perseverant and, more importantly, independent learner. And in fact, many will find their postgraduate study a lot more enjoyable, fulfilling, and manageable simply because, unlike undergraduate, which is a broad-based study, postgraduate doesn't need to spend a lot of time and energy on those subjects that you think will relate to your interests or your research. Okay, the third myth is on whether it is worth just consider going into a top ranked university or selecting a postgraduate program that is top ranked. In fact, if you base solely on how a university or how highly it ranks, is actually not a good strategy. Selection of a postgraduate program will require other consideration. Ranking is important. It can be served as a guide, but you also have to look at other aspects of the program. Some of the typical consideration that you might want to consider would be the cost of the program. How active this research group in the program that you are pursuing, or more importantly, the student support that you get. Based on a lot of studies and report, it is known that employers are actually more interested, beside the knowledge, they are more interested in hiring individuals who are very motivated, self-driven, and dedicated. Whatever said and done, what matters most is what you can bring to the table. Okay. The myth number 4 is about after completing your graduate school or after you obtain your postgraduate study, becoming a professor, or is becoming a professor the only career path for you? In fact, it is true that completing a postgraduate program or after obtaining a postgraduate qualification, it will be a natural career path for you to continue to stay in academia. This is more true for those who are really keen and passionate, to conduct research, hoping that they can create new knowledge, new technology, and pushing the boundary of knowledge. And some would like to become an expert, a guru, a professor in their own field eventually, to impart knowledge on others. But according to some survey, majority of the master graduate, in fact, end up in the industry after they graduate from the program. A study by UK Research Council under the so-called UK grad program, it was indicated that about 30% of the science PhD graduate will continue their career path in the academia. However, the remaining 70% of those graduates will end up in the industry or government agency, and so on and so forth, beyond the academia. And mind you, obtaining a postgraduate qualification is not about just knowledge, but during the process of your postgraduate study, you are able to acquire many other important skills, many important so-called transferable skills. okay, such as critical thinking, multitasking, project management skill, problem solving skill, which are all highly valued across many fields, especially in the industry. And in fact, you might have the opportunity during your postgraduate study to work on some challenging problem, or we call it a game-changing problem. And with the research finding that you have, you could well become a real entrepreneur after you graduate from the program to do something impactful to the society. Of course, all in all, postgraduate study doesn't lead you to become a professor, but of course, job in the academia isn't so bad after all. For me, being a professor is still the best job in the world. Myth number 5, can I afford to do a postgraduate study? Financial consideration is definitely an important part of your consideration or a factor to decide whether a postgraduate program is something right for you. Of course, I have to say that there are a lot of other financial aid that are available to support postgraduate studies. Okay, they have scholarship, that cater for students, be it local student, international student. You have something called the project-based graduate assistant research assistantship, or a project funded by the industry. So these are the avenue that you can seek for what we call the financial aid to support your postgraduate studies. And in fact, postgraduate study have a different mode. You can even opt for, instead of full-time, you can even opt for a part-time study of your postgraduate study, so that you do not have to quit your job entirely just for your postgraduate study. And in fact, postgraduate study typically have a very flexible timetable, especially if you enroll yourself into a pure research program. So you're able to, if you manage your time well, you can even consider signing up for some part-time job to support your postgraduate studies. And lastly, remember, you are investing in your future. Having a postgraduate qualification will definitely boost your earning potential as well as employability. Oh, okay. Myth number 6. Am I too old? Have I missed the boat? I did not continue my study right after my undergraduate program. Especially this will apply or applicable to those who have decided to take a few years off to join the workforce before returning to the postgraduate study. So in fact, to answer this question, it's never too late, right? And in fact, there are a lot more advantages having a graduate student who have some working experience before they return to the university to continue their postgraduate study. Among them are, you will generally have more experience than the rest. So you have a wider perspective of things, which can definitely work in your favor. And you have a clearer idea as to what sort of specialization you want to pursue in your postgraduate study. And because of some of the practical training you have in your job, it is agreeable that you most likely get more out of the same classes if you compare to student, a fresh graduate who continue their postgraduate study right after their undergraduate. So maybe that's also an opportunity for you to take some time off for yourself to really review what you want to do or review your career path. Even though you might well discover that the current job, or the past job that you have been doing was something great for you, you can always return with more knowledge after completing your postgraduate study, and you know better as to how to apply them and improve your career. Being a mature student with some good working experience, you are generally more resilient in the face of failure, and handling various failure in life with various methods. And from your workplace, other important skills that are useful for your postgraduate study, can be like project management, your networking skill, time management skills, so on and so forth, that you can acquire it from your workplace, and the list will continue. And mature students generally will be more confident, in presenting themselves due to the environment that they are put in during their work time, and they might well be a better communicator. Especially, these are all very important skills when dealing with your postgraduate supervisor, especially those difficult supervisor, or being a researcher. You will always constantly required to share your research finding in many research conferences. So this skill set will be definitely useful for your postgraduate study. And finally, being a mature student who have worked in the industry for some time before returning to your postgraduate study, definitely you have better financial capability to support your studies. So there will be no problem for you to live on, unlike some fresh undergraduate student who continue their postgraduate study right after their UG program. They might well suffer if if they run out of pocket money. They might well have to live on instant noodle every now and then. All right, myth number 7. So in contrary to myth number 7, would that be okay, or would it be too early for anyone to enroll into a postgraduate study immediately right after the undergraduate program? Of course, there are advantages to it. When you are young, you have more energy. Okay, you can always consider postgraduate study as your first job, especially if you've been offered a post as a graduate assistant. Okay, you are not that rusty, so your knowledge and skill set that you acquire from your undergraduate are still very fresh, which you can apply them in your postgraduate study right after. And of course, the university life that you are so used to during your undergraduate, you will feel it more comfortable perhaps to blend in to your so-called postgraduate environment later on. And you will not lose your momentum being a fresh graduate, especially for some who would like to consider taking some time off to delay or postpone their postgraduate study to earn some living, and so on and so forth. And for all you know, this delay can very well become infinite at the end of the day, where your chances of returning to the university to pursue your postgraduate study might not happen anymore. Okay. And being young, you do not have any commitment, personal commitment, family baggage. Assuming that you don't get married at that time, you have not bought a house at that time. So all this, your paycheck, how to support your house installment, this will never be an issue for you when you are a young graduate, and it will not distract your postgraduate study. And again, being young, you always have the so-called license to fail. Okay. And there are other advantages, such as the chances of securing postgraduate scholarship or any form of financial aid is seen to be higher, simply because you have built a good rapport and good network with all the professors during your undergraduate. And having said that, many university nowadays are offering postgraduate scholarship to entice or encourage fresh undergraduate students to continue their postgraduate study by imposing a certain timeline in the postgraduate scholarship application, so that students will continue their study right after the UG program. Well, this is another plus point for you. You are young. You can always use the good excuse from your parents. If they're still happy to support or to sponsor your postgraduate study, by claiming that you have yet a job and of course a stable income source to support your postgraduate study. And being young, you can extend or in fact prolong your student life. In fact, student life is one of the most exciting part of life. Everybody would agree to me. You can explore things and have fun. Okay, and it's very often to um, agree to a point that uh, when we select our undergraduate program, we did it in a rush. During that time, probably we did not really understand what we want and what sort of interest that we want to pursue later on in life. So during your postgraduate study as a young graduate, that allowed you to have more time to have a better overview of what of the subjects that you would like to choose or you would like to pursue. And during your postgraduate study, you can take that opportunity to build your personality, your character, or to really define what you want in life, your aspiration, later in your life. The next myth is number 8. Will I be overqualified to obtain a postgraduate degree or postgraduate qualification for an employment? Okay, in the face of globalization, digitalization, the emergence of the fourth industrial revolution have indeed created disruptive changes to many things, to business model, the way we live, the way we are connected, the way we work, and also impacting the employment landscape. According to this so-called Future Job Report by the World Economic Forum, um, in the report it says that an estimated 65% of the kids enrolling in primary education today will very likely end up working in a job that have not been even created when they reach the age of employment. Then that is also a finding that it is estimated that by the year 2025, 85 million job may be well displayed, while 97 millions of new role may emerge. So the question now is, how do we address all this? And these are all coming. So postgraduate study is definitely one of the answers to this. We need to acquire so-called the future-proof job skill to address those issues that we're going to face very soon. Besides the knowledge that you gain during your postgraduate study, PG study basically provide you a good training ground to acquire, to pick up all those important skills such as innovation, how you handle uncertainty. There's something called the Murphy Law. I believe many of you have heard this before, which says whatever can go wrong will go wrong. You will very likely to experience this during your postgraduate study, repeating experiment day after day, hoping to get a solution to the problem. And during a postgraduate study, you interact with many researchers coming from different part of the world. That will really helps you to have the ability to think globally, and you're able to adapt to change better. And yeah, you have a resilient to failure. You have the ability to think critically, and lifelong learning. You have good or deep analytical skill, logical thinking, so on and so forth. According to McKinsey Global Institute, there's this report that shows that there won't be enough scientists in the world today, especially scientists required good postgraduate education. So if this trend continue, it will become worse, and especially the economy will continue to favor innovation. There's this something called the critical occupation list created by our very own Talent Corp Malaysia. It shows that many of these so-called critical occupation are not occupied. There are still a lot of vacancy to that. And one of the reasons that they have discovered is that there is not enough qualified or highly skilled talent to have that required technical skill, which is again strongly correlated with their academic pursuit. A study by OECD, on average, it is quite shocking to know that there's only 1.1% of the world working population from the age group of 25 to 64 who have ever been to a university and obtained a PhD qualification. We are talking about 1.1%. And this table here shows you the country with the highest proportion of PhD holder from the age group of 25 to 64. If you look at even in country, a developed country like United States and United Kingdom and whatnot, the percentage of PhD holder in their workforce is still very small. It's probably it's just 2%. In the United States, in the United Kingdom, it's only 1.4%. So what it tells you after knowing a little bit more about some of the facts and figures presented to you earlier on, do you think you are still overqualified after obtaining a postgraduate study for your employment? Just one moment. Let me have some wrong with the battery. Okay, right. In the local scene, as Malaysian, okay, we are pushing ourselves to achieve the so-called digital economy. So therefore, no doubt the need for these highly skilled workers are very important. Okay, and in Malaysia, if you want to look at some statistic, the ratio of PhD holder to working age population from 25 to 64 years old, it is estimated that the current PhD holder that we have is only 0.15%. This is way below the world average of 1.1%. The higher education minister or ministry of Malaysia, in fact, have putting a lot of effort and roll out a lot of initiative, hoping to increase the number of a PhD holder to 60,000 by year 2023. Even with that, the number or the percentage that we're going to achieve by 2023 will be a mere 0.33%. Okay, let me share with you another report which carry out analysis by picking on some of the largest company in the world based on continent company from the so-called Forbes Global 2000 company ranking. So the survey basically involved 231 top company leaders, and this is the final outcome. So in summary, CEOs or the head of this establishment or highly ranked establishment are all well-educated individual, and they are all holder of postgraduate qualification. And this chart is just to give you a view of the postgraduate qualification combining PhD and master held by CEO of this Forbes Global 2000 company. If you look at Europe, 76% of the CEO of the company would have at least a master or a PhD qualification. In Asia, there are 67%. In Central or South America, there are 66%, and the list goes on. Okay. The myth number nine, do you really get to pay more after obtaining your postgraduate qualification? Well, it all depends on the field that you have chosen. But overall, PG qualification or postgraduate program will definitely boost your earning potential and employability. If you like to have some number or statistic to support such claim, according to Department of Statistics Malaysia, new degree graduate their earning the salary range of this graduate, majority of them are actually earning between the range of 1,000 to 1,005 in year 2020. In year 2019, the range is 2000 to 2005. In fact, they have experienced a slight, quite a bit of reduction or dip in the salary range. If you compare to the salary range or earning of those new degree holder graduate in year 2020 and 2019, the dip will likely contributed to the COVID pandemic that we are having right now. In contrary, the monthly income of Malaysian, in the workforce that possess a PhD or master qualification, their salary range is indeed 20 to 50% higher than their counterpart who only holds undergraduate qualification. And another interesting fact is that the salary range actually remains the same, despite the pandemic, the issue that we are facing now, in this challenging economic situation. The salary range in 2020 and 2019 basically remains the same. So that shows that highly skilled worker with good postgraduate qualification are still very well sought after by the industry. Okay, outside Malaysia, UK government have also conducted a study called the Graduate Labour Market Survey among some of the working group. And again, it points to the fact that postgraduate study, holder of postgraduate study actually command a higher salary as compared to someone who have a undergraduate degree. And this is another chart to show you the study that was conducted by Georgetown University Center on Education and the Workforce. This shows that the difference in learning, the difference in earning between someone with a postgraduate qualification to an undergraduate degree holder. Okay, in computer science, the salary difference or the earning difference can be as much as 30,000. Okay, and in the economic domain, the range can be 28,000. If you were to compare with someone with a postgraduate study together with some additional working experience, the earning difference can be even bigger, right? So if you look at the chart, it shows that the important information that I want to send across today, that a postgraduate degree is in fact something will able to boost your learning potential. Okay. Finally, the last myth that I'm going to share with you today: will there be any social life after you enroll yourself into a postgraduate study? So we have to all agree that postgraduate study is not easy. It can be very taxing at time, and it can be very intense. Okay. However, it is not difficult to strike a balance, find a formula to achieve work-life balance. Okay. And in addition to that, I think this is something that I mentioned before. You do get a lot of flexibility while doing your postgraduate study, especially postgraduate research, postgraduate program by research. Okay, and you have the good opportunity to mingle with people, especially sharing the same common interests in your postgraduate group, right? and it's easily for you to enhance your social network, especially in a postgraduate study group. You will find people that comes from a different age group, people with different life experience and work experience. This will indeed enhance your social network eventually. And well, during the postgraduate study, it will be easy for you to embrace a new social life. And mind you, and those PG student, postgraduate student that you make as friend during your study could very well be your future co-worker. Perhaps, they can be your partner, and more importantly, they could well be your bosses or future employer in the future. All right. I think I would like to end my talk and presentation with a quote from one of the greatest scientists of all time, Albert Einstein, that says, "Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving." So I'm hoping that we are all here today to embrace the culture of lifelong learning and moving forward, to keep moving. Signing up for a postgraduate study is definitely one of the options. Okay. Finally, thank you to all. I hope you really enjoy the short sharing that I have with you today. And more importantly, I hope I've managed to put you at ease, especially when come to the point where you like to decide whether a postgraduate study is something right for you. Having debunked some of the common myths surrounding postgraduate study, mind you, um, what a lot of these myths that you probably hear from people, uh, these people might well be people who have not even gone on to further their study. So I would like to advise you that please do take those myths with a pinch of salt. For me personally, postgraduate study or taking up postgraduate study was one of the best decisions that I make in life, honestly. Um, like I said, it might not be easy, but it was definitely rewarding, fun, and worthwhile. So with that, thank you very much to all. So
Thank
over to
you.
you, Mr. Mustafa.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Dr. Wong, Deans of IPS. It was very detailed, in-depth explanation from history to economy, from then to now, till your life and moving on, how to get things done in the graduate studies level. Okay, moving on to talk on our topics, to continue with topics. Let me share the floor with Associate Professor Dr. T. Connie, who is also Associate Professor and also the Deputy Deans of the IPS, or Institute of Postgraduate Studies, with her title Postgraduate Studies Opportunities in MMU. Over to you, Dr. T. Connie, on your
Okay,
topics.
all right. So thank you, Encik Mustafa. So let me share my screen with you. All right. Okay. So today, I will briefly talk about the postgraduate studies opportunities in MMU. So basically, we will go through what are the programs offered currently in MMU, and then what are the admission and application processes, and then most importantly, what are the scholarship opportunities available. Then I will end my sharing with some success stories from our alumni. Okay, so for the programs that we offered, we are actually offering three types of courses. So as Prof. Wong mentioned just now, so we have programs, PG program by coursework and mixed mode. So these two courses are very similar in background. So for example, if you opt for PG study by coursework, then the way is very similar to what you have been doing during your undergraduate study. So if you are taking your PG program by coursework, then you'll be taking courses, you register for your subjects, then you will do assignments, homeworks. Then in the end, if you pass your exam, okay, then you'll be able to obtain your master degree. So usually you'll be able to complete your master degree by coursework in 2 years' time. So the nature is very similar to what you have been doing during your undergraduate studies. Okay. Then we also have a PG program by research. So this is a bit different in which you just need to focus on a specific topic. Okay, so you don't need to take courses or you don't need, we don't have any subjects like your undergraduate degree. So if you take PG study by research, you just need to focus on your particular topics. Okay, then in the end, you need to produce a thesis that contain whatever achievement that you have, okay, during your study. Then after that, we will evaluate your thesis. So if, all right, everything is verified, okay, you have done sufficiently for your master degree, then in the end, okay, the examiner will evaluate your thesis. Then after that, you'll be able to get your master degree by research successfully by the end. Okay, so there are various domains for research study. So if you are interested to know more of each of these area here, feel free to contact us. Then we will provide you with more information. All right. So how about the admission and application process? Okay, if I'm interested to apply, what should I do? Okay. So you can visit our website to have a look at the list of entry requirements and English language requirements. So don't worry about the link. So you can just go to our IPS Institute for Postgraduate Studies website, and all this information are listed, are organized systematically in the website. So you can have a look at this information in our website. Okay. Then for the application process is very straightforward lah, we will say. So you just need to, again, just go to the online website, and we have a simple application form for you to fill out. Okay, so just a one-page form, very straightforward, the process. So let's say, if you want to take up the research program, then you will need to find a supervisor. Okay, so if you have already know let's say a professor, okay, in the university, then you can directly contact the professor. Then you can discuss, okay, to come up with the topic that you want to do for your postgraduate study. Okay, if let's say you do not know any professor, then don't worry, you can go to our directory of expertise. Okay, then you can find a list of supervisors, okay, by listing lah the expertise, the research area that you want to work on. Then you can find a suitable potential supervisor from the list. All right. So after discussing with your supervisor on the topics that you want to do, then you just fill up a simple research statement form. Okay, you just put in, okay, what is your interested title that you want to do, and then you provide some brief information about your topic. Okay, then you just submit this research statement form together with your online application. All right. Okay, so usually, sometimes, okay, in our university, the lecturers actually manage to secure some funding, some grants. Then they actually offer some postgraduate study we call a GRA, Graduate Research Assistant position, that you can apply. Okay, so if lah, let's say you has been successfully hired as a GRA, then you don't need to worry about your PG study in terms of financial support. Okay, so the funding that the professor obtain will support you throughout your postgraduate study. So we have listed a list of available titles that the potential supervisor have in our website also. So you can go there to have a look. All right. Okay. Then talking about scholarships, financial assistance. So we offer several schemes, different types of scholarship. So let's say, for example, if you are taking the postgraduate program by coursework, then we offer this postgraduate merit scholarship for you. Okay, so under this merit scholarship, if you obtain a CGPA above 3.67, all right, then you are entitled a 50% discount. Okay, half of your tuition fee waived. All right. Then if your CGPA is between 3.33 and 3.66, then don't worry. You are also entitled for a 25% discount. All right. So for this scholarship, so again, this is applicable for our coursework programs only. All right. How about research program? Okay, so if you are interested to pursue your PG study by research, we have this MMU Achievers Research Scholarship for you. All right, so this scholarship is very attractive because we offer 100% tuition scholarship. That means all 100% tuition fee waive if you obtain a 3.33 CGPA and above. Okay, so for this, the criteria is that you have graduated with a bachelor degree and it is within 12 months, okay, from your from the date of your bachelor degree graduation date. Okay, so this program is entitled for full-time master and PhD programs by research. So this is applicable if, let's say, you have a bachelor degree, okay, so you can actually apply this scholarship to sponsor for your master study. And if you have a first class degree, okay, your CGPA is 3.67 and above, all right, then good news. You can directly apply for our PhD program. So we have this direct PhD program in which if you have a first class degree, then you can directly apply for this direct PhD program. So you can skip your master degree. All right. So, because this attractive scholarship, okay, 100% tuition fee waive. That's why we only open it to 50 places only lah. So this will be based on first come, first serve basis. All right. Okay. Then let's say you are our alumni, MMU alumni. So regardless of what program you are applying, so you'll be entitled a 20% discount. Okay, so usually you just register. Okay, no problem. You just register as our alumni member. Okay, then automatically you will be waived lah for a 20% discount on your postgraduate study tuition fees. All right. Okay, then for the one that we mentioned just now is the one the for a sponsorship that MMU provided. Then in terms of the sponsorship from government, we also have let's say the financial assistance from My Brain 15. So for more information, you can go to My Brain website to have a look. Then a part of that, we also have Malaysian International Scholarship and also Yayasan Khazanah. All right, so you can always go to their website to have more information about this scholarship information. All right. Okay, so before we end, let me share with you some success story from our alumni. Okay, so here we have Mr. Ahmad Sharif. So he's currently a senior software engineer. So previously he's working, his master is on biometrics. So now Mr. Sharif is with a company called Securemetric. Okay, so in fact, he's applying the knowledge that he learned during his postgraduate studies on biometrics and computer vision, and now he's doing very well in the company. All right. Then we also have Mr. William Ardianto. So the one standing in the center here, this is Mr. William lah. Previously, he's working on machine learning topics for his master degree. And then now he's a deep learning engineer in SkyMine, Malaysia. So SkyMind Malaysia is the biggest, is the largest AI company in Malaysia. So they set up like a Silicon Valley, okay, in Nusantara, the Putri Iskandar, okay, in Johor. Yeah. So now William, okay, is a data scientist and also a deep learning engineer with the company now. All right. So apart from after you have completed your postgraduate study, apart from going to the industry, like the one Mr. Sharif and William, then some of our alumni also continue to work on the academic area. Okay, so here we have Dr. Tepin Sen. So currently he's with University of Manchester Metropolitan University in United Kingdom. Okay, so he's doing very well in UK now. In fact, recently he won the Teaching Excellence Award in the university. So we are all very happy for him lah. Huh? All right. Then also we have Dr. Lee Ming Chuan. So in fact, Dr. Lee Ming Chuan is Prof Wong's PG students. Okay, so Dr. Lee is now currently with I think Intel Malaysia, and Dr. Lee in fact is a very active person. He always engaged in our activities and things like that. So now he's holding a very high position in the Intel Malaysia, the company. So we are also happy for him lah. Huh? All right. Okay. So if you are taking your PG study with us, so usually we have different kind of activities for our postgraduate students, like awards. Okay. Then also our PG students are always actively participating in different type of exhibitions and competitions, and they manage to won lah different a lot of medals and also prizes in international and also national level competitions. Okay, so our PG students are very active lah. Okay, then not only that, so usually during your postgraduate studies, you will have the opportunities to present your research work, your research output in different conferences and seminars. So usually, because now we are under the pandemic situation, but let's say that when situation permit, then you can actually travel to all over the place, all over different countries to attend conferences to present your research work. All right. So this is an example of we have a student exchange program for the PG students. Yeah. All right. So with this, we hope that you can build your career with us. So if you have any information, feel free to contact us at ips@mmu.edu.my. So we'll be more than happy to assist you. All right. So thank you. So over to you, Mr. Mustafa.
Thank you, Dr. T. Connie from the Graduate Studies. Okay, to move on with our conversations, let me get back to you, Prof. Wong, Yong. We have a few questions here from our audience. Question one, let's say if your thesis topic can be changed later, so it doesn't really matter what you choose when you apply. Is that right? Prof. Wong.
Okay, to answer to that question, of course, it's important to make sure that you have the real interest in that particular subject. As far as topic-wise, there's always the opportunity for you to revise as after you kickstart your research work. Very often along the way, along the journey of your, especially research program by master or PhD, is likely that some form of fine tuning in your work scope, your research work scope, as well as some slight deviation in your research direction. That would is quite common to happen. So eventually, before you submit your final thesis for examination, the title can always be reflected. The title can always be changed to reflect the some called new change in your postgraduate study. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Let me get back to Associate Prof. Dr. T. Connie. We have one question here from our audience. Is it possible to skip masters and do directly to PhD, Dr. Connie?
Yes. So to answer this question, yes, this is possible. So we have a direct PhD program. So if you have a good result for your bachelor degree, let's say you have a first class degree, then you can actually apply directly for our PhD program. Okay. So usually this is how the process goes. So we will have an assessment, an interview session with you because you are applying directly to our PhD program. So if we find that after finding out everything is fine, then you can start your PhD study directly by skipping the master. Yes, that's why, yes, it's possible. You can go directly to PhD by skipping your master if you have a first class degree, a good degree. Yes, we will accept you.
Okay, let me go back to Prof. Wong. Here, another question from our audience, Prof. Wong. Is it easy to work and study full time simultaneously when you study at MMU?
This is a very subjective questions, and if I may answer that question, it is very much depending on individual, how well your juggle, how well you juggle between your work and your postgraduate study. Of course, if given the opportunity, for those who are not coping well with study at the same time work, we will strongly advise against it. But of course, there's other options, where you can consider signing up for a part-time postgraduate program instead, where you can have best of both worlds, by concentrating on your work at the same time. You can continue with your so-called part-time postgraduate study.
Okay. All right. Let me get back to Dr. T. Dr. T. Connie. We received another question from our audience. Do you need to have first class undergraduate degree to do a master's at MMU?
Okay, so the question asks, do I need to have a first class degree to do a master? Oh, not necessary. So in fact, if you have a minimum CGPA of 2.5, then you are eligible to apply for, in fact, most of the PG programs already. Okay, so on top of that, if you have a first class degree lah, so you can even directly apply to PhD program, just skipping the master degree. Yeah, so having a first class degree, well, you have the privilege lah to go directly to our PhD program by skipping the master. All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is possible, right?
Yes, possible. Yes.
All right, Prof. Wong. Here's another question for you, Prof. Wong, from our audience. Do you have to study in the same field as your undergraduate degree in MMU?
All right. I believe I've briefly touched on the answer to this question early on in my presentation. Of course, like I said, it will be definitely useful studying in the same field as your undergraduate study. That will really complement your PG study. However, it is still possible to so-called switch your field of study, as you had probably you didn't have that opportunity to do it during your undergraduate. It is still possible. There is still this alternate pathway via something called the bridging program, to allow students who wish to switch their field from undergraduate to a field that they desire in their postgraduate study. It is possible.
Okay, all right. Dr. T and Prof. Wong, we have come to an end to our programs. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us
Thank
today
you.
in our webinar series. Prof. Wong Hin Yong, Deans of IPS, and also Associate Professor Dr. T. Connie. Thank you for your sharing, insight, information, and expertise. For our audience out there, if you have any additional questions you would like to connect directly with us, you just log on to our MMU PG Virtual Open Day from the 23rd to the 29th at our MMU Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. Our team will respond to you accordingly. So you still have a chance to climb the corporate ladder. So please make sure that your ladder is up against the right wall. We are here for you to help. Okay, thank you for watching. We appreciate your time, and you have a wonderful rest of your weekend ahead. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Multimedia University, because MMU is you, leading the digital future. Visit mmu.edu.my.